We're back.
We're
back.
He's back.
He's back.
They tried to kill me.
I woke up this morning and I went onto social media and I could just see Grant is back. Twitter, Telegram, Discord. The guy's back. Dude, you were gone for 2 weeks.
I didn't plan it. I didn't plan to be. It's just completely... they tried to wipe me out, whoever it was. I say it's a conspiracy. They try to wipe me out.
I have a sneaky suspicion I know who it is. It starts with a B. It was them. They did it. They knew. So what's happening?
No.
Yesterday was just terrible. So this is the Blockmates update for anyone who doesn't know. We generally try and make sense of what's going on in the markets twice a week. I think today it's going to be really difficult to try and make sense of what happened yesterday. Probably one of the most confusing days I've seen in the markets for a very long time. It almost felt like the 16th of May of last year, when everything just went. I mean, it wasn't as dramatic, but I mean, I think traditional finance markets definitely were like crypto land last year, May 16th.
Yeah.
Google made its announcement.
It would have been nice to just get that, like, destruction. I mean, not that I wanted to, because I definitely hadn't structured my portfolio for destruction to happen, but I just want that. I just want like this ridiculous capitulation to kind of happen, and so we can get this. It's just I don't see who's still, like, if you think about the type of people who are still holding Amazon and Apple, and like, who are these people that are selling on those announcements?
It's crazy.
Like 20%. Was it a 20% move?
Pretty much, and then another 9% post market as well.
It's just completely fucked. It's like, is that signs of, like, quote unquote smart money beginning to question their own sanity and offload, or is it trying to claw money back because they know on an announcement that the market's completely schizoed and will just go absolutely ballistic? Yeah.
Will they not just be like tax harvesting? Because I've seen like many companies tax harvesting, or like the investment funds tax harvesting this month, ready for the midterm rally that's supposed to be happening.
Dude, did you see that report? Essentially, the markets, traditional finance markets over the last year, have lost a total of $3 trillion.
Oh, Bitcoin was that at 1.8.
No, wasn't that the full market cap?
Total market cap, wasn't it?
Fed's completely happy to just let that continue to happen. I don't know.
So
it feels like they're taking the vengeance out on not being able to trade anymore.
So the headline is that big tech sees a $3 trillion in losses. So it would be tech companies primarily. And it's a fairly reliable. I mean, CNBC, a staggering $3 trillion in combined market cap has been lost in 1 year from just 7 companies: Alphabet, Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, Tesla, Netflix, Apple. $3 trillion.
But well, people are going to vote with their dollars, aren't they? So
yes, and they clearly have.
You'll get 2 years of gridlock coming out of the midterms. It's like how the easiest ammunition you can get from being an opposing party, not to talk about politics too much because it's boring as fuck, but the easiest ammunition you can have as an opposing party is an economy imploding in front of your face. Because it happened in the UK with Labour and Conservatives, where unfortunately Labour were in power during 2007, 2008, and then all you get any time is you can't trust Labour with the economy, which is like, no one could have done anything, but it's just complete easy ammunition. And if people's pensions, portfolios, everything's housing about to implode, if all that's about to collapse, it's just such easy ammunition for the opposing party. So we'll just get 2 years of gridlock. Gensler and then the Fed and all the other bogeymen are just going to continue to do what they're doing. So, yeah, you'll have to look in areas of the market which are completely, like you say, uncorrelated, but are just having their own little rallies, because there has been a few. And I think that's a more interesting conversation for us to have than talk about the Fed. Dan, whose wallet have you been watching? Nobody's wallet is safe with Dan. He is like a human Nansen.
Yeah, nobody's safe. Nobody is safe. Whether it's NFT, but like, I know everyone like slags off NFTs, but there's a lot of action going on in the NFT world at the moment. Like, there's a lot of minting happening, and there's, even though like volume's down, there is still like a lot of trading happening. Like, I'm in a few, Telegram chats and Discords or whatever, and the amount of mints that are happening, they're just going and going and going. And a lot of like these new, some of these newer like games projects that are coming out that are led by like big ball brands and such, they're having like free mints, which is pretty cool. So at least then that's like driving people into more so into the community.
Have you tried Blur.io?
Yeah.
I think it's fucking great. I don't think it's fully rolled out, but like, yes, I bought all the Krakens. That was me.
Did you get the airdrop, bro?
Yeah.
Did you read the thread that led you to the airdrop? That's the important question. Remember the thread on Twitter that led you to this airdrop. Just make no mistake about that.
Mate, which thread? There's about 1,000 of them. There's 1,000 shilling, all of the same shit.
It's amazing. And I think they're relevant.
Bro, and they're all fucking but they're all fucking late now. Like, hey, there's still time to get into the ZK Sync. No, there's not, dickhead. That ran out like 4 days ago. Stop trying to farm engagement. Did you miss Aptos? Yes, I missed Aptos. And I also missed ZK Sync. Piss off. Seriously. But here's 4 new airdrops. Mate, shut up. You didn't give a shit about the ZK Sync airdrop in June and July, did ya? But now you are farming fucking engagement, aren't ya? Dickhead. Laughing on, aren't ya? Christ. Really starting like, mate, seriously, like, so I've just let loose right now because the markets are fucking down, things are red, and it's just like, mate, you're laughing on, piss off. Like, the one was like, I posted this on Twitter, right? In the last bull market, mate, shut up. In this bear market, dude, shut the fuck up. In the next bull market, I'm going to be researching hard. Researching hard, mate. The bull market is 3 years from now. Go away. Christ. Shut up.
They're insufferable, aren't they?
Mate. Sorry about that.
God.
It's very important to distinguish. So there's 4 types of people. They're the ones that post kind of like the outrageously useless stuff that for some reason gets all the engagement. Then you got the ones who will post like really good insight into stuff. Then you'll get the guys who'll give you alpha, but it's not actionable. That like you got to be really quick. They'll give the alpha, but then you've maybe got half a day or a day, or it might just be happening on the cusp. And then you get the very small amount that give you the heads up on stuff that's going to happen literally weeks, days, even months ahead of its time. And you need to distinguish who you're engaging with or who you're reading. Like, just in your mind, who am I actually like taking note of? Am I taking note of the current, the exact current mentality that's going around? Cool, then I'm going to follow this person. Then the next one. And then you just distinguish who it is and who they are capable or what their capability is. And then you just kind of, and it's always important to follow the lobs, because then you know who to counter trade, when to counter trade. And that's the way it is.
I don't think there's any alpha to be had at this point in the market of listening to other people's investment, because they're just relying on the greater fool theory. There is definitely something to be said for people who are tracking wallets, and if you can nail that down, it is a skill that can be used. Particularly if everyone's fighting, it's all PvP still, and the same money is just sloshing around, but between different hands, if you're leaning on other people's opinions for alpha, it's by the time you've read it or by the time you've heard it, it's too far gone, way too far gone.
Grant, don't you believe that there is alpha to be had in terms of almost making predictions around like where the next narratives are going to be, even if they are momentary lapses of reason, as you say, because they are. It's kind of like that money sloshing around, but there might be a bit of an edge there. And then further to that, what is the future of this space? Whether it's going to be, LayerZero projects, whether it's going to be the ZK Sync privacy stuff. I mean, surely there is potential alpha in that for the medium to long term. Forget about the short term now, because you're 100% correct. Short term alpha is non-existent. But what about the medium to long term?
Yeah, no, there is definitely something to be said for trying to build a thesis around where you think the market's the liquidity in the market's going to flow to next, because obviously that's true unadulterated alpha, isn't it? But
yeah,
you can't, in my opinion, you can't be relying on, if you really want to make like true returns, you can't be, and this is obviously not financial advice, but you can't be relying on other people's thesis, because all you see is, particularly now when there's like 10 people left on Twitter, it's everyone just regurgitates the same alpha, just as Dan was saying, the stuff that gets engagement, anything that's topical. If it's topical, it's gone, particularly at this stage in the market. It's like you need to be the one creating the thesis, and you're going to be right or you're going to be wrong, and the market's going to show you if you're right or wrong. And then you can have your little victory lap and say, like, look, I was talking about this months ago. But listening to people who are just creating the same threads, the same articles, and the same old bollocks because it's their farming engagement, as Dan was saying, that's not an investment thesis. No way. If you want to like separate yourself from the crowd a little bit, and if everyone's talking about, well, what's everyone talking about this week? Aptos. There was absolutely no way you were going to make money on Aptos. There just wasn't. You might go Airdrop or whatever, but there actually wasn't. Liquidity is not flowing over there. Now, if you'd have been looking in your own kind of realms of interest and things like that, and you came across a couple of projects this week like Dam Finance, or if you jumped on the Messi Brigade with Hedgick, those things have went 300% this week. Absolutely no relation to Aptos whatsoever, but absolutely no relation to airdrops whatsoever. The masses were talking about one thing, whilst the few were making money in areas that they'd, spent time and research about. And there wasn't a million threads on each of these. It's like you go and do the actual research yourself. It's got to be all 0 to 1. It can't be cherry picked at this point in the market. So, and it is really frustrating. I was speaking to Jack about this week. It's like you log into Twitter and it's a complete cesspit. Everyone can't get their kicks from trading shitcoin, so they're trying to like farm engagement again, as Dan was saying. But it's like every couple of tweets, it's like here's a thread on how to drink a glass of water. You've been drinking a glass of water wrong your whole life. It's tiring. Like, go and spend your time doing something better. It's really, really fucking annoying. But yeah, that's my idea. But if you wanted my projection of where it's going to go, I've been quite vocal about it before. And I can be quite vocal about it now because there aren't that many projects that you can actually go and allocate some funds to. There are a few, but the whole NFT space, in my opinion, will be good. And you've got to build those kind of ideas and thesis around what you actually think will happen. And then you go and put your money where your mouth is, and then you're either right or you just don't tell anyone you were wrong and shut up about it.
Hey, you just make a thread about it, so then you do become right. And why everybody else is wrong.
Yeah. But you don't create a thread to create a narrative. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
no, absolutely not.
By the time everyone's writing a thread about it, you probably should be selling. Particularly in this type of market. If you're in like a raging bull market where there's absolutely no sense plugged into the market whatsoever, then you just use that as fuel. But now, like it happened the other day with everyone was talking about like buffer, and I was dying on the couch. I could literally, it was like one eye open, like scrolling through my phone, didn't want to speak to anyone. And I was like, if I had a position in this now, I'd sell. I'd just sell it because there was way too many people talking about it. And that's good in a bull market, but when it's like this, just do the opposite.
You know, you thank you for answering my question, because what I just got out of your answer is that there really is a tremendous amount of alpha that can still be delivered, but more importantly can be gathered. Like, you can gather all of this information that you just take for granted, right? To the extent that, you know, you instinctively just land up doing stuff. Like, for me, it's like I really don't have an interest in the market, so what am I doing? Creating content, and I'm speaking to people, and I'm growing my network, and I'm like, that's where I see my alpha, and that's, you know, that works for me, and I would like to think that I'm pretty good at it, and you know, you make mistakes, but then you kind of grow in it and the rest of it, as opposed to making mistakes with, you know, leaving leverage longs open and not closing them and all that kind of stuff, you know, like. So
I thought we were
that's
Jerry. I thought we were long in our longs.
Oh yeah, we longed our longs yesterday, and look at what happened.
Long the longs at the top. What? It's a bull market, guys. Long the longs, dude. What are you talking about? We're at the top. We ain't gonna long nothing now,
dude. I was trying to create a narrative around a narrative that wasn't there. But just back to what it is that Grant was saying, is that I'd like to just remind, you know, our community and a lot of our community that watch our stream know this, is that, you know, Dan's put out some really good newsletters over the last few weeks, and what's interesting about those newsletters is
all the links are below. It should be the first thing you see on that YouTube description.
Is that and this isn't I'm not trying to, I mean, I am, but I'm not. It's not the reason why I'm not doing this for engagement. It's like, the reality is that the stuff that Dan wrote about essentially 6 weeks ago, people are now talking about on Twitter, and they're creating threads, and like, you know, like Aptos. Dan was onto Aptos way before anybody even said anything on Twitter. Now everyone's talking about Sui. Guess what? The same newsletter that we put Aptos in mentions Sui and what they're about. Promise you, the next narrative is going to be Sui. I guarantee you, a month from now, everyone's going to be losing their minds before Christmas over Sui. So you can either get that information from us, use it to your best of your ability, because we're giving it to you for free, or you can go and follow the LARPs and get it from them a month later.
Absolutely.
I completely agree.
Yeah. And we spend a lot of time doing that, you know. It's not just, you know, just pick things out of thin air and just like hope for the best. It's like it's a pain in the ass, but when you wake up to like 100 messages between us three overnight in the Discord,
so
it is all calculated.
Yeah. I'll give whoever's listening and watching a little bit of alpha here. A lot of you probably know this, but for those who don't know, the next, not only narrative, but the next game changer in this space, from my perspective, I don't know what you gentlemen think, is LayerZero. Yes, we had Stargate and what they did, but that wasn't, trust me guys, Stargate was not a true reflection of the capability and the possibility that LayerZero can offer. Stargate, in my opinion, have done a terrible job of it. Great project, great potential. Maybe when the bull comes, they will deliver and people will lose their minds over it. It might go to $50. I don't know. I don't care really. What I do care about is that LayerZero has the potential to completely change everything that we do in the space and how we do it. If you can centralize liquidity from one point and branch it out, you're a winner. And that's what LayerZero is going to do. That's what the projects that are coming in and are getting creative around all the mechanics, around all this kind of stuff. And if you want to find out which products, then follow us, read our newsletter, because we talk about them. And I guarantee you that stuff is going to come out of the mix in the next 6 months. It's kind of like, it's so obvious. It's like right in front of you. You just got to look. It's right there. There's your alpha for the day. Bye.
Shall we do a little teaser and bring up a few that we're aware of? I'll get Twitter up. So initial, I get what you're saying about Stargate, and that is a product of the LayerZero team as like a kind of test case to bridge native assets to native chains, so you don't have these liquid wrappers and things like that. But so Interswap is one to keep an eye out for. They're still building at this point in time. So where this dissociates itself from Stargate is effectively Stargate is for native assets, so you'd get like you wouldn't get a wrapped Ethereum on Avalanche or like any other chain that LayerZero's pumped into. Interswap take it a step further, and they want to just like be completely permissionless cross-chain pools, which is quite like a big thing if they can get it right. And what's really interesting is, particularly in a bear market, at Token 2049, the Pantera capital guy, like their CEO was saying, if you're going to be raising money in a bear market, you might as well go for broke, like do something like stupidly big, because one, you're not going to like because you're not going to raise for another fucking DEX that's getting built. Well, you probably will another DEX on Aptos, but people are more likely to bet on like a 1,000 DEX potential that could fall flat on its face, or it could do like some serious numbers. Do you know what I mean? In a bear market, because risk rewards an awful lot better. The raise is usually a little bit lower. The terms are a little bit better. So if they can get this right, I'd be very, very happy and very, very impressed. So that's a one immediately to keep an eye out. That'll use LayerZero. You've got Tapioca, which we couldn't sing their praises any louder. I think we've been speaking to the team quite closely. We're going to be doing an awful lot of content around the product because it's great. Do you just think of this one as kind of like, do you want to fill everyone in just from your perspective?
I think what I really like about this, and I actually relayed this to you earlier on today, is that I'm of the opinion that Tapioca is essentially what Danny wanted to do with Abracadabra, and don't take the negative connotations from that. I think there was a lot of really positive stuff around Abra, and being able to borrow and lend and leverage that, with the sushi mechanics. So there's taking Bento Box, there's taking DJing Box, all that old stuff. Well, we consider it old a year later, but it's like all that stuff that Danny wanted to do and he successfully did. Make no mistake, Abra's still around and they're still doing their thing, and they're still relevant. They might not be in everybody's eyes, but they really are. It's a great project. There's no denying that. And what these guys are doing,
the product's fantastic. The product's fucking great.
Yeah, it is great. And these guys are taking that product, they're putting it on LayerZero, and they're saying, you know what, we can take the liquidity. You don't have to bridge. You don't have to move those funds around like you did with Abra and with what those guys were doing. You can keep it all in one place. Very similar mechanics. In fact, we're going to land up enhancing it, and we're going to make it better. We're going to make it stronger, and we're going to offer the same opportunities, just better, faster, cheaper, and at your fingertips. That's what these guys are doing. Great websites, great team. They had the fastest growth on Discord in their Discord server this last week out of everybody. And it hasn't been through paid services. I've been in there. It's like the conversations are flying. They're a likable bunch, and they know exactly what they're doing.
Two additional bits of alpha with this. One, on the website, this is how much of an artist I am. If you actually click the little glass at the top, you can actually get it to tell you loads of shit jokes.
Oh my god!
So naturally, I spent like half an hour going through all these terrible jokes. And then the other one that people might find actually interesting is, excuse me. So there was, I think it was like a think tank who released the idea that liquidity mining is effectively a customer acquisition cost for projects that doesn't necessarily work. It doesn't really work in a bull market, and it certainly doesn't work in a bear market. So the idea being that if you're a DEX or a money market or any kind of protocol, you require large amounts of liquidity to be a good product. So how do people actually do that? They incentivize with like a native token or additional boosted rewards. Everyone knows what happens. Like the recent stats that came out, I think it's included in this article. Actually, it says like 25% of people who deploy into a new protocol because of high APRs will actually remove the funds within 24 hours, like after they've rinsed it dry for all the high rewards. And then like a further 75% from the initial deposit would be removed up to like 72 hours. So people are like the capital is very mercenary, and it's very like vulturistic, and people are just playing the game, right? If there's going to be high liquidity mining rewards, and they're just going to absorb as many of them as possible. The protocol thinks it's doing well, and then as soon as the rewards start dwindling down, people take their money and park it elsewhere. And then the protocol effectively becomes useless because there's no liquidity in the protocol to make it actually, worthwhile to use. So that's one of like the main sticking points. There's a lot of people trying to solve this, and then someone proposed an idea of having this kind of call option as your incentive, as opposed to just giving out bare tokens which could be sold in the market. So effectively, like, forgive me for butchering this, but let's say if you think about Tapioca and it's going to be like a lend and borrowing platform where they require like large amounts of TVL. A borrowing platform, not a lending and borrowing platform. So what they'll do is on Abra, you could effectively, or Abra, Aave, Make, or whatever, you could have deposited your collateral in, and then for being a liquidity provider, then you're incentivized like through a liquidity mining campaign in like the project's native tokens, or Spell, Aave, whatever. They're saying that's not, well, there's a lot of people saying it, but Tapioca are actually going to try and implement it from the get-go, and I think a lot of protocols will do this. So what they're saying is, if you deposit with us and decide to lock your token, your LP tokens or your collateral for, let's say, 16 weeks, we'll actually give you our native token at a discount. So you can actually buy our token at a discount if you want to lock up your liquidity with us. If you want to lock it for a year, we'll give you a greater discount. But you better be quick, because if I decide to lock for like 6 months, Jerry, and you come along and say, well, I want to lock for 6 months as well, can I have the same discount? The discount will actually increase. So whoever's in first and says they'll lock for the longest will get the heaviest discount. So it's effectively going to create an open market around how much discount they're going to be able to buy the native token for. So what that does, instead of giving the tokens completely away for free and allowing people to just remove their capital as soon as they've sucked as much of the protocol dry as possible, one, it's going to incentivize locked liquidity for a longer period of time. It's going to give people an option to buy at a discount. And let's say you could buy it at $1 and it's trading on, you could buy it at $1 if you lock for 6 months, but it's trading on the open market at $2. So you're going to that's going to vest linearly for the amount of time that you've locked up. And you're effectively opening like a call option on that token there. So there's going to be arbitrage to actually make a profit regardless. Any profit from buying the tokens at the discount is then going to be put into LP positions on the protocol. And that stays there then. That doesn't leave when the people remove their own LP position. It's effectively how Olympus would bond, where they'll say, like, let's take in ETH USDC and we'll give you tokens. And the profit from that sale of tokens is going to then be like protocol owned liquidity. So the call option DSM type system, if you read this article, it's quite interesting. So that's another little bit that I really like. I think this is not like, Tapioca definitely didn't invent this. I've seen like a couple of projects and think tanks talk about this, like a liquidity mining options, call option way of actually getting tokens onto the market and allowing like sticky liquidity. But it just kind of shows that they're very they're aware of some of the issues that have came before it, and they're looking at innovative ways to kind of circumvent that, which is, that's a big tick in my book. We'll see how it plays out, but I think it's great. Was that too much?
No, that was Grant. There's a ton of alpha in that, and it's been a while since we've actually had commentary of this caliber in terms of like really stuff that potentially redefines the way that business is done on chain. And this article, should I say, this thesis was written by one of the joint CEOs of Tapioca, which is Matt. And what's also really cool about these guys is that they doxed. They've been very open about who they are and what they're planning to do and how they are going about it. And the one thing that I really like about them is that they're definitely looking at the long-term play around this. And I think the mechanics that you just described now very much speak to that, and it's, we want to create something that's sustainable and long-lasting, and this is how we're going to do it, and this is how we're going to reward those people that come along for the ride. But that locked liquidity it's the way. And like you said, everyone's going to land up doing it. It's not a question of if, it's just when.
I also like that they don't give a fuck and they're just going to launch in the bear market.
They're launching on the 1st of January. 1st of January, we're launching. Why the 1st of January? Well, it's a new year and we're doing this.
Mate,
one thing I would say is I wouldn't have put a date on it. They're obviously, if they deliver on that, fuck me, yeah,
Mate, that is a terrible day to launch.
That's why they're probably doing it,
bro. You shouldn't be able to see a thing New Year's Day. You shouldn't have even gone to sleep. You should have had an absolute banger of a night to then launch on that, mate. I'm going to be there in the morning, like trying to wait for this tapioca thing. Like,
completely bong-eyed.
Yeah, bong-eyed, mate. Can't see shit. Oh, where's the buy button? Oh.
Yeah.
At least do it on the 2nd.
So what other LayerZero projects? Grant, are there any other LayerZero projects?
So need to respond to these guys because I said I wanted to do some content around it. So very topical. Like Wacko will be happy that we're bringing these up. So everyone's banging on about the real yield, the whole thing, and when done correctly, it's it can be quite powerful, and I think we're only just beginning to see the first iterations of what's actually possible. But these guys are gonna again implement LayerZero to be having like completely cross-chain strategies, and they have like a really interesting bonding mechanism themselves, which is I haven't really read into too much, so I don't want to spout it on air without knowing how it fully works. But yeah, just keep a little eye out for these guys as well. Like the market cap, I think's. Let me just bring it up. You know what? 2 secs. Market cap is 2.8 million. So, just keep an eye. They've seemed to have launched on Arbitrum, which a few people are doing, but I love Arbitrum, but I have I don't know. It just seems like everyone's launching on Arbitrum, which is fair enough if you're going to go on LayerZero. So, but yeah, and they're definitely in the topical place at the minute. So yeah, it looks good. Well, I mean, chart looks okay. What I'm also seeing is there's some on-chain market makers definitely definitely being employed by the Arbitrum projects, because you just kind of see these little $10, $38, $10. It just makes everything look and feel a bit nicer on the chart. So kudos whoever's doing that and supplying that as a service. It's doing my bags a world of good, I think.
So, which leads us on to another one of those threads, except we're going to do it live. Did you hear that you could get an Arbitrum airdrop? You know what would be a beautiful thing is that if that airdrop is only applicable to people that used Arbitrum from a period 6 months prior to this. Imagine how beautiful that would be.
But mate, I swear I read a thread the other day saying
we need to get on a call. We need to get on a call with the Arbitrum guys and say, listen, like, let's just create a little bit of rage here. There we go, rage trade.
Yeah, these are like the final one I'd bring up. Really, really interesting. It's this whole idea of recycled. Who's trading? I just heard someone take a go off. The whole idea of recycled liquidity. So, not to butcher it, but they effectively allow you to deposit your Try Crypto LP tokens. So, from Curve, you've got BTC, ETH, and USDT, USDC, from what I can remember, and then you can deposit it into Rage Trade with these guys, and they'll effectively take 80% of that deposit and just earn yields on top of it, and then they'll take the remaining 20% of it and then use it for concentrated liquidity on UniV3, and then they'll also allow people to go long and short on this. I need to get in touch with the team to actually get this covered, because I'd love to sit down for a couple of days and just like dig into what it is, where it could be, and like how the dynamics of it work. But this is something to definitely keep an eye on. Again, it solves a lot of the liquidity issue, great yield. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot more products built out using this kind of model as well. I think this is one of those kind of 0 to 1 kind of products which people need to really keep an eye on, because it's until LayerZero came around, they wouldn't have necessarily been able to do what they do by breaking up like the LP and distributing it to where it needs to be. So again, it just builds into what we were saying previously. I don't think people have truly explored what is possible with like the messaging layer on LayerZero, and even the EVM, non-EVM stuff will be quite interesting. I don't like the idea that the people on the LayerZero cap table are also on the Aptos, SWI, and a lot of other L1s, and are dictating where the next integrations come from, when they've got the likes of Solana over there that aren't integrated just yet, because it doesn't suit their bags. Do you know what I mean? There's absolutely nothing on Aptos and SWI, and they're still getting integrated. So I suppose that's business, isn't it? I can't really do anything about that.
They're going to have to do Solana at some point. It's kind of like the market's going to land up forcing them to do it, I think. Or the guys will just keep on using the wormhole, and the wormhole will land up benefiting from that side of it, and that's just going to land up costing them business. And that's, like you say, if it's about business, unless I'm being naive and it isn't just about business, but I would think that over time, always. But I think over time they're going to be forced to do the integration. The thing is that, just deviating a little bit from LayerZero, because the LayerZero thing is hugely significant, and we know it. But just onto Solana, I think everyone's completely and utterly underestimating, the magnitude that is Solana and what it is that they're doing over there. And because the space is very much, in many ways, directed around, the favorites. Solana's not the favorite, and you don't hear about what's going on at Solana, but don't be dismissive of what Solana is and what they've got to offer. There's a lot going on there. We're going to this conference next week, and we'll be back with some intel and some info, and we'll let you guys know what we find. But I have no doubt that we are going to be blown away. I mean, I've already seen some of the preliminary stuff, and I mean, it's actually really impressive.
It's interesting to see. Obviously, LayerZero could definitely be construed as a direct competitor to Wormhole. And obviously, with Jump Crypto, that being a Jump Crypto product, effectively, I wonder if that's playing into it. Just like, because Jump are obviously heavily in the Solana ecosystem. So that could be.
Of course it is. Yes.
That's obviously
Yes,
what's happening there, isn't it?
Yes. It's all about business.
Yeah, I'm fucking devastated. I'm not going to Lisbon.
Lisbon is going to be so so Blockmates is going as media, so we've managed to get in on that. I mean, they clearly are complete lunatics to let us go in as media and give us free passes, but it's fine. We'll take it. And we are going to be interviewing some pretty interesting people. I mean, we're going to get an opportunity to interview Anatoly, who's one of the co-founders of Solana. We've got one of the co-founders of Magic Eden. Yeah, I mean, it's just it's just going to be incredible in terms of what it is. I'm just bringing up the rest of the guys, which I need to go and research and obviously put the time in and give the interviews the credibility that they deserve. But it's
you can't fake like something that as we say, you can't fake something that's got like a 5-day conference. Like you know, like that is huge. Just having 5 days for a conference, massive.
Yeah. So Solana, we've got Anatoly, which is one of the co-founders. We've got Stepan, which is Trevor Sevic, which is head of business development. We're going to meet with him. Magic Eden, Jack Liu is the CEO and co-founder. BetDex, CEO and co-founder, which is Varun Saduka. Paradigm and Ann Gomez, CEO and co-founder. And then we're going to meet with Gani as well, who's obviously our sponsor. And they've afforded us another interview with Gani for this conference. So
we'll take it. We'll happily.
I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be an incredible experience. It's going to be I mean, I'm going to be starstruck sitting with these people and chatting to them. Yes, I am a bit of a fanboy. I mean, I think all of these guys have done tremendously good work. I love Magic Eden. In my opinion, it's one of my favorite NFT sales websites. The DJ Apes are on there, and probably one of their best sellers. Paradigm, amazing project. Obviously, Solana. I mean, I'm like a kid in a candy store. That's all I can say about that. So I'm looking forward to that, and then looking forward to getting to you guys. And then hopefully, well, not hopefully, I'm pretty sure we'll have a whole lot of alpha for you guys in the coming weeks from that conference. Because as you know, we believe that all chains have their place, and we don't just focus on one or two. We focus on all. That's what we do.
That was a dig, by the way, if no one figured that one out.
Yeah, we're not ETH maxis like some other people. Dan?
Mate, I'm buzzing. Mate, I can't wait. I'm just super excited. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, it is gonna be good. Newsletter wise, what's happening?
Newsletter wise, we're gonna be covering today how we're going to make crypto cool again, because crypto right now ain't that cool, and that's why people aren't investing in it too much. And I think there is there's a very special company out there, potentially Reddit, who are going to make it cool again. So we'll cover a load of alpha in there, and then the Ape Chaser section, which used to be hidden alpha, but that got a bit boring. So the Ape Chasers essentially like give tasks every week. Week 1 we did wallet tracking. Week 2 we did some airdrops. This week I won't spoil it, but I'm going to put a variety of different projects that you can just generally take a look at that are super duper early. And I actually just posted one in the mill deal section in the Discord. That's had, spoiler alert, that's had a couple of like big C tier wallets start buying it up over the last like 12 hours. So whether it does something or not, I don't know, because there has been a slight pump. But if C
do I know what this is?
I don't know what this is. I don't even know what this is. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, if you want to have a look at actually something, so there's this one like super duper famous like airdrop dude, and I've been seeing what he's doing, and for like the last 2 days he has been smashing out optimism. Everyone says the optimism airdrop's done, but it's not. There's still a hell of a lot to go.
It's not finished, no.
No.
So Dan, why have you not created a thread around this on Twitter so that we can all read it?
Because I've not done it yet. I haven't finished it yet. I'm gonna do it this weekend. That's my job for this weekend. Do the optimism airdrop. It's coming.
It's coming.
Yeah. Oh well. Is that it for today, gents?
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
What I will say is, for reasons unknown, we have had a large subscriber uptick, but there is a little metric you can see behind the scenes, and it's around, I think it's like 52% of people who watched aren't subscribed. So if you could do us a favor, if anyone's listening, it helps us an awful lot, you know what I mean? So just press the button, or you'll be sat listening to Bankless for the rest of your life.
The horror. That could be a scene out of Apocalypse Now right there.
Yeah. So do that, subscribe, because there's an awful lot of people watching right now that aren't, and again, it helps us a lot. I need the dopamine fix. I don't have the shitcoins to give me dopamine fix anymore, so
yeah,
I need it from this.
Yeah, and if you are doing the whole shitcoin thing, just know the odds are against you guys. The odds are against you.
I'm gonna leave people with a riddle to figure out which shitcoin I've bought. Well, not a riddle, but a puzzle. It's not even a puzzle. If you look at what is the most active L2 at the minute, and look at which coin people are speculating over because of Elon's takeover, there's a hybrid in there somewhere that joined both forces of the L2.
I know which LT, but I have no clue which coin.
Hey.
Right. Well, maybe people can figure that out. It's pretty obvious. You think about Elon, you think about one coin, don't you? So, but there is a hybrid out there somewhere. So
I've obviously got my Twitter notifications that come up on the bottom right of my screen, and as we said, shitcoins, Capo of Crypto said, shitcoins still look good. That's the
sell
tweet.
It all.
That's when you sell.
Don't get me started.
We'll save him for another stream.
Yeah.
Reminder of what I said at the beginning of the stream. There are 4 different people that you need to make note of that you are following. Make a note of who's who, and then use that information wisely. On that note.
Artlist.io